Salut les artistes! Bienvenue à la musique de Danny Robertson, où nous voulons vous aider à devenir l'artiste que vous êtes censé être. Je m'appelle Danny Robertson. Merci pour vous être ici. Aujourd'hui, je veux parler de communication. I hope I caught you off guard with that one because I do speak a little bit of French, but I'm trying to lay out a little bit of a point here. When you perform on stage, yes, it's about playing music, but it's really much more about being able to create the right connection with your audience. You need to be able to communicate in a language that your audience understands. So when it comes to the speaking French, yes, I do speak a little bit of French for the sake of talking to some of my family members who don't speak English. Je peux parler un petit peu en français et je peux comprendre les mots que ma famille peut dire à moi. It doesn't mean I'm great at the language. It means that I can keep up. Both language and performing come down to the understanding of communication. You don't necessarily need to be fluent in either one, but you need to be able to find a way to make a connection. What you're going to find in this video is that this kind of applies to other situations as well, not just when you're performing on stage. Teachers talking to their classrooms, giving a speech at a wedding, presenting at your workplace. We're going to talk about how you can better command your audience by learning how to communicate with them properly. We're going to talk about 3 specific things that you should be looking at every show to kind of get you ready and in the right zone to communicate best with your audience. The first thing that you really need to look at when you're going to perform at a gig or speak in front of a group of people is you need to understand what the situation is. Why is your audience here? What do they need from you? In a live stage setting, they're wanting to be entertained in most cases, but there might be a secondary factor to that, like a wedding. It could be that they want to be entertained, but they also want it to feel like this great event centered around a bride and a groom. If you're performing at a corporate event, it could be a celebration of a good year. They made a lot of money. They had a really good fiscal year, presenting awards to employees. They might be doing something like that. You need to understand what your situation is before you actually get up and start talking and presenting in any way on stage. The second thing I want you to look at is a little bit unorthodox, but you do want to think about this one whenever you're going to perform or speak in front of anybody. What is the maturity level of your audience? You might be talking to a group of kids, and the way that you present to a group of kids is different than the way that you would present to a group of working adults. Hey kids, who wants to do some jumping jacks and listen to Justin Bieber? Thank you for graciously allowing us to be a part of your event. We're now going to play At Last. Think about whether kids are at the show, whether there's retirees at the show. If there's only 20-somethings, your language might be able to be a little bit more crude. Who's ready to party? You might be able to throw in a few more bad language words if you're playing at a bar with a bunch of 20-somethings that want that kind of presentation. It all comes down to understanding what the situation is and what your audience wants, and then understanding the maturity level of that audience. Now, with the first 2, you can pretty much size that up before you even start playing. You might meet a few people before the show. You might get an idea of how old your crowd is before the show even starts. But the one that you have to gauge during your show is what is the best way that your audience is reacting to you. Sometimes your audience wants you to talk with them as much as you sing or play music. Sometimes your audience wants you to get them up and doing things, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just want to watch. I played this great corporate event that was to 600 people, and it was a big, high-to-do function. The event also had other things going on. The band really wasn't the source of the main entertainment, so we were basically like auditory wallpaper. And after we understood that about that show, we kind of just treated it like it was a paid practice, and we had a lot of fun playing the music that night. So the key with that is reading your audience as you're starting to engage with them. Sometimes they really want you to engage with them, And sometimes they really, really don't. What is the right communication style for that particular show? Now, if you want to command your crowd, you need to learn to grab that by the reins and pull your audience in the way that you see fit. But you do have to really read your audience first before you can learn to act on it and get them to participate.
This might be the song for you. I think that you should bring everybody in your group over to the dance floor. That includes the entire company if you want. You got it, you got it, you got it. There you go. Are you gonna leave them hanging? Come on out here.
So, for a quick recap, what does your audience need from you? What is the situation at that show? And then what is the maturity level of that audience? You know, whether you're talking to kids or full grown adults or something in between, what is their maturity level? That'll affect how you present your show to them. And then finally, what communication style works best for that particular performance? Do you need to engage more, speak more, or do you need to lay back? That's kind of how you can learn to command your crowd. If you can hone in on those three things, you probably will have a great show, and you won't have to feel like you're speaking French to a mostly English-speaking audience. Get my drift there? Okay. That's it for this week. I hope you have a great next performance, and I'll see you soon. Bienvenue, and take care.